Alright, 6HP19 Sonax zip kit. This is the Sonax number down here. This is a WIT number. In this kit, you're going to get a crap load of extra O-rings. I've never cut an O-ring, so in the kit with the valves, you get extra O-rings anyway. I don't know why they give you so many extra, but I mean, they could cut down on that and cut down on the price of the kit, in my opinion. You're going to get some large end plugs and some smaller ones. That's the ones we're concerned with this half of the valve body. Need 3 of the large ones, 2 of the small ones for this part. Okay, you don't have to take the valves all the way out of this just to do the zip kit. I've only taken them out because I'm documenting all this. So we got the valve with the stem facing out, spring on this one, and small end plug. Lube the crap out of these things. You can roll them on the table, you can mash them in. These really aren't so bad about getting in there as some other kits are. These usually work fairly well at getting them in there. A pair of pliers does not hurt to help grab them and twist them into place if need be, but usually these just pop right in. Now, the retainer was facing this direction on this one. Goes right on the end of that and grabs it. Make sure that you do pull these back out against the retainer, especially on the ones that don't have a spring. They can't push it back out. The stem facing out, spring, another small one here. Okay, on this one, the little leg's facing that way. This one does not have a spring and is a large one. And this one is facing this way. Stem facing in, no spring. This one's a large one. Sometimes you can get these with regular pliers. Sometimes you're going to need a pair of needle nose, especially on this side. These kind of sit recessed down into there. And this one's facing this way. Alright, the stem facing in, no spring. The retainer is facing this way again. Okay, in the kit, probably going to get new filters and check valves and check balls. So I'm just going to put the old ones in for the moment, show you where they go, so I can get this out of my way. Alright, we have two check valves with springs. They go here and here. The large filter is dished, I guess you could say. Wider at the top, smaller at the bottom. That goes down. The small one is the same way. It goes down here. And the check balls, I dropped one of them, so let's see if we can get this figured out. And it goes right there. Okay, new separator plate, because you will almost 100% destroy this silicone that's on here. So be sure and get you a new plate. The check valves are going to poke up through the plate. Here, we'll get the next section and we'll continue on. Not thinking straight. There's other pieces that go in here. So from the factory, there's dampers down here and they have rubber tips on them. In the kit, you're going to get rubber tips. Sometimes you get the whole damper. Usually you just get the rubber tips. You can replace those if you want. Sonax in their kit gives these and these springs, and depending on your plate, if you got the same number, it should be all the same. 6R80s, sometimes you run into differences, which is basically almost the same type of training. But these holes that are down here, if some of these are missing from off of your original plate to this plate, you don't have to put the dampers in there. If there is a hole, it has to have a damper. So get you a little grease, stick it in the back of that, and then put these on. And this one has all of them, so it will get all of them. Okay. Now we can go on to the other half of the valve body. Okay, if you're going to do the younger kit, you're going to need this tool kit. You only got to buy it one time. On the bore that's in the back here, do not forget to put this little spacer in there first. If you do not put it down into the bore, you will ruin your valve body. You have two different sleeves, one reamer. I think the one that goes back here is the long one. The one that goes up in the front over here is the one with the step on it. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I think I'm backwards. I think the one with the step on it goes back here. I believe it was this bore. Anyway, two different guides, one reamer. Use something to lubricate it. I use this. Just use a drill. Go slow. Don't force it. Once I get that done, we'll be back. As far as the dampers in the Transgo kit, you're going to get rubber tips also. I don't use them. I use the Sonex ones, but you just shove the tip in there just like that. Put that down. Okay, I get this reamed out. We'll be back. Okay, I was wrong about that bore. It was this bore right here. So you're going to get these two kits if you already have the tools. That's the whip number. In this kit, I'm going to get two valves and make sure I don't screw this up. Let's see. Get the new valve for down here and the blue spring. It's going to go there. The new valve up here and the orange spring. This goes up here. Then for the other kit, and with this kit right here, this is the whip number, and in this kit you're going to get a new PR valve and a new sleeve. The Sonex valve comes with the sleeve also. I just use the one that comes with the younger kit, or the Transgo kit. It's a bad habit I get into, calling it younger. I don't know why, I guess because the seminars you used to go to. Alright, make sure that your sleeve does fit on the valve and it slides nice and free. Make sure that it is the same as the old one, as you will have big problems if it's not. So we got the new sleeve. I'm gonna get back on there. The valve. Then you get this other valve. And this happened the last time I think I got this kit. It's missing the spring. And what is up with this? Why all of a sudden I'm getting kits without the spring in it? Because it should come with a new orange spring. Yeah. So I gotta figure out why I'm missing the orange spring. Then in the lockup valve, we are going to get a new valve. And you get 2 springs. And I believe the Ford one is the red. The 6HP one is white. Yep, I think I'm backwards. Yep. Alright, 6R80 uses the white one, the 6HP uses the red one. So we need the red one. And it's going to go up here. It's going to go there. Alright, rubber tips, I don't use those. They give you new clips. We'll talk about the one that normally breaks. It's usually the only one I replace. I just save these and have extras. Alrighty. Let me go hunt up a spring and we'll continue on. Okay, if you happen to get one that the spring is missing like I have. The spring is supposed to be 1.850 overall length, 379 outside diameter, 52 on the coil diameter. So this one's really close. It's not exact, but it's close enough. Okay, I think we're going to start down here so I don't mix up my solenoids. All the end plugs get replaced. Spring here, accumulator. Replacing this with a large O-ring. This one's kind of down in there, so makes it a little bit harder. The retainer's facing that way. Okay. Valve with the stem facing out. Spring. Now this is where other kits come in handy. I believe this is off of the, what was this off of? 6F35? No, not 6F35. Oh, A750. The A750 kit, they will give you this screw. I'm not sure what the threads are right off the top of my head. Anyhow, the end plugs are being replaced with the double end plug, and the retainer, the split end faces down and it goes in the valve just like that right there. This bolt helps you tremendously to get this in there, and our retainer is going to go in right there. Allows you to twist it and push at the same time. Make sure you mark where your solenoids come out of. You want to put them back exactly where they came out of. And there's 2 O-rings on each solenoid. Stem out again on this valve. Spring. Another end plug. It's going to go right there. Valve with stem out. Spring. Another end plug. Alright, here's our original setup. Spring and the valve. Here's our new spring and valve. I guess I ought to put my solenoids in before I get going too far. And screw it. Our last end plug like this. Okay, this bore does not have a valve in it. Spring, and then the stem of the valve goes in. The retainer goes in just like that. Come on, get down in there. Just like so. This one does the same thing. And we have a retaining bracket. There are notches in these solenoids right here that this bracket has to fit into. And then there are 27 Torx bolts to hold that in. And I'll tighten these down later. Just want this to be held in. I'll go ahead and put all the bolts on. Leave it loose so I know that I have not tightened it yet. Alright, this next bore we may need to work with it some. I have run into quite a few of these where the sleeve does not want to move properly, and if I can't get it to move fairly quickly, I just reuse the old valve. I have not really found them to be worn out, but they put it in the kit, so I put it in there. This valve goes with the stem in. Make sure that your sleeve is the same and the valve is the same. You don't want to end up putting something that's different. And you want all of this to move. So if it's super tight, you're going to want to work on it. And this came out tight, so I have a feeling I'm going to have to work on this some. Okay, I'm going to have to work on this valve a little bit to try to get this to where it's going to want to go. And once I get it in there, we got an end plug with an O-ring that goes on it. This is the one that tends to break off right here. So whether it's broken or not, I would put a new one of these, and it faces this way on this one. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, just a couple little blast with the brake hone in there. Did it. Valve stem in, no spring. Large end plug. And the retainer goes just like that. Valve with the stem out. Spring. And a small end plug. And the retainer goes in just like that. hold the valve. This is a barrel-shaped spring, so it's smaller in the ends than it is in the center. That's why there'll be two measurements at the end of it. Spring goes on the tip of the valve. It goes in that way. Then our end plug, the new valve, and our new spring. Small end plug. Now the reason we're able to put two different branded kits in here is because we're not drilling anything. You don't want to mix kits and drilling different things. There's very few times where you can get away with that. Retainer this way. We had factory spring, PR valve, and sleeve. We have our new spring and valve. This would be orange if you do have one in the kit. Spring end goes in first. PR valve goes with the retainer on the outside. The sleeve on the outside, and then the retainer sits in front of that sleeve. Alright, it's going a little bit snug. We'll see how it strokes when it gets in there. Seems to be okay. Anyway, we have the valve stem out, spring, small end plug, I have to get the needle nose for this one. Helps if I put it in the right hole. And the retainer is going in just like that. Alright. Alright, our factory valve and spring. Our new valve and spring. Alright, that's kind of stiff too. Alright, I think we have to run the reamer back through this again. It's a little on the rough side. I don't know what happened there. Okay, I'm going to rerun the reamer through this and see what happens. And then it has a small end plug. It's spring, small end plug. And the retainer is sitting in there just like so. and our manual valve goes in with this side facing in. Once I get to that point, I gotta get my kit also so we can get the small parts in that other part of the valve body, and we'll put the two halves together. Okay, this kit did not come with the check balls or the springs or the filters, so I'll be using the other ones. The problem was not with the bore on that one, it was with the valve. It was hanging right here at the end of the valve, so I had to work with the valve to get it free. So, first one I've ever had out of these kits that I had that problem with. Put your valve body on the top. And you have 6 longer bolts, the rest are all a little bit shorter. All the long bolts hold the Tecum onto the valve body, so I'll just get you a couple of these started into here where everything won't fall apart. Leave them loose. And this one did not come with this little gasket that goes here, so it doesn't get that either. Your neutral switch has to line up into your manual valve. These dowel pins have to line up here and here. This one here, this one here. Don't get radical trying to get this thing to go down onto there. It is a computer, so you don't want to break speed sensors or the computer. It's just not cheap. Get it somewhat kind of going in straight. Alright, come on now. Alright. Gentle when you flip it over. And then the longer bolts go there. And there. And there. Our shorter ones go everywhere else, like I said. Alright. I'll look this up. I think it's 89 inch-pounds on these bolts. This may be the one that it says hand tight. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Alright, tighten all those down. I will have what the specs are supposed to be in the video. And when I come back, we'll start building the drums up on this thing. Alright, this is the A clutch. O-ring here, a D-shaped lip seal on the outer. bevel plate with the dish up. Another D-shaped ring out here. This plate on here does come off. You just bend these tabs up and you turn it to a certain spot and it comes around those little humps right there. No need to take it off. Alright, I did mark this. I don't think it makes a crap, but I'll put it back where it was. And then short end of the taper up again on our snap ring. And you need a pair of snap ring pliers. Okay, cushion plate, 37. Steels, 115. Clutches, 62. And the top pressure plate is the same as the steels. Snap ring, which was 96. Okay. Alright, B clutch. When you change the bushings on this drum, you're going to have to be really careful and make sure that you pay attention to how they were in there and put them back the same way that they were, this one on this side anyway, of how it was in there, how deep it was, and put it back. You don't want to be blocking any holes. So we got O-rings on the piston here. O-rings on the piston for this balance piston. Alright, bevel plate with the dish up. We got half moon keys again. Here again we're going to put them between the fingers, not on top of them. Alright, make sure that this is sitting where it's supposed to be and is seated properly on these half moon keys. Our cushion plate, 38. Our steels, 94. Clutches, 84. Pressure plate is 111 with the little tips up. Snap ring is 77. On the back side here we have two sealing rings. I think these would be okay to replace. They go together just like so. Only open them up far enough to get them on there. You don't want to break the back of them. You can do it without even knowing you did it, and they will not seal. Alright, I think we can do the pump. Well, no, we can't do the pump. I gotta wait on my bushing kit. Now we put the pump together because I found the bushings for the stator. Since we don't have a bushing in the pump, it's a bearing. I can go ahead and put this together. Press the front seal in. O-ring out here. Need a line up bolt to line all this up. The outer gear dots face up. Inner gear dots face up. The flat side will be facing up, recessed down. Alright, lube up our O-ring. Lube up this piece. Okay, lube it all up. Battery died, so I had to get me another battery. Put this plate on, and then we are going to need to press this in place. So I'm going to take this over there, press this down. Make sure we get this in the right direction. Right there. Alright, we have long 27 or 30 torques, and then we have short ones. Pretty obvious which ones go where. We're just a tad bit off. And went a tad bit too far the other direction. Just a teeny bit. tighten those down to 133 inch-pounds. O-ring on the outside. These sealing rings are hook and loop, which means they hook together just like so. And just kind of hold one side in, push it up and around, adjustment shim, and put it on here, or you can put it down in the drum. Alright, let me tighten these down. When the bushing kit shows up, we'll be stacking this in the case. Okay, C-clutch. These are all O-rings. This kit said ZF on it, but I don't think it's a ZF kit. I think this is a knockoff. This does not seem like any ZF kit I have seen in the past. Okay, the bell valve plate goes with the dish up. The half moon keys are going to go in this groove in here. We want the opening of them to be in the middle of a finger. We don't want it in the middle like that. We want it over here like that. So those are going to go in there. I'm going to do both sides at the same time. This is the D. Okay. The O-ring goes on here, and this O-ring goes inside of here. Here we have a notch here. We have a notch here. Put the same side. You can see where the bell valve plate was sitting before. So that's going to face down. This notch has to go into that piston. And this notch needs to go into that drum. So we need to make sure that this is all lined up before we stick it in there. Make sure that orifice in your piston is free. Your bell valve plate's going to go on top. And did I do this wrong? Okay. And we got our snap ring. Make sure there's a taper to your snap ring. It'll have a taper to it. You want the short end of the taper up, and you want the opening. Well, this one had the opening at the opening, so as long as we're not covering halfway into it, that's what we're going to do. Okay. See, we had our bearing goes on this side, just pops into place. We have cushion plate, 35 thousandths, steels 71, clutches 63. Alternate that up to the top. Pressure plate 138, snap ring 92. This one, let's see, this goes on the other side. This bearing goes here. The pressure plate is 35. Steels 97. 62 on the clutches. $137 on the pressure plate, 92 on the snap ring. Alright, we get the next port. Figure out, maybe this was in this way. Yeah, that's how it was. Okay, this goes on top. Alright, E-clutch. Don't have my bushings yet, so I have not been able to replace those. So we're not going to be able to assemble the whole unit. We have an O-ring here. And an O-ring here. On the back side. And forgot to mention, but no, I do not soak my clutches. If you feel the need to soak your clutches, go ahead. I've never found a difference one way or the other. If you get your panties in a wad about it, go ahead and do it. Bevel plate goes with the dish up. Make sure it's down in that groove. Our piston. This retaining ring with the dish in facing up. Short end of the taper. These are very obvious. Up, and don't put the opening in the opening. Here I have kind of mixed feelings on the sealing rings in this kit. Normally, especially on my foreign kits, I don't replace these, especially since this kit looks like it might be a Chinese knockoff. They still fit, as long as they fit nice and snug. I mean, you can feel resistance, then they're okay. And I think I'm just going to rerun the old ones like I normally do, because even though these look okay, they do have a little bit of spring out, not too much, but I don't know. These go together just like so, no matter which ones you use. This kit came with two different ones, and these go together just like that. I'm just gonna stick to my rule. Almost changed them, but I have found, especially on foreign ones that you can get yourself into big trouble real quick. They just won't seal properly. Okay, on our cushion plate, 25 thousandths. Steels, 82. Clutches, 62. Pressure plate, 138 with the knobs up. Snap ring, 86. Okay. Here's the O-ring for the lockup. I think this may be small enough that we can go ahead and stick this on there. It will slide past it. If not, we'll take it back off. Okay, you don't need to take this out of the gear. I just took it out for picture purposes. You don't need to take these races off. One goes on this side, the other one goes on this side, and they hold each other in. There we go. Okay, the bearing goes into here. The planet goes on here. And these little tabs get bent over and hold it in. Okay, put our drum over here. Make sure that your bearing is on here. Put your drum in. Make sure that your bearing is on here. Put your hub in. Make sure your bearing's in the back side here. Put your hub on. Got our hub, the little tab has to fit in that hole right there. Put our snap ring in. Make sure it's all the way in. Here we got our shim on here, we got our bearing in here. our planet on this sun gear. This bearing, it pops in the top. Actually, let's take this apart. You're probably not going to do this. You don't need to do this. I would just leave it all in there. The sun gear pops into that bearing that's down, captured inside the planet. So there's really no need to take this out. But in case you have, we have, let me go ahead and pop this out. You have a deep side, a shallow side. Deep side goes down, and this bearing pops into the top up here just like that. This is going to pop into that bearing that's down there just like that. Let me make sure. Okay, just want to make sure that I had the measurements on it. The race stays on this sun gear. This race, you can get it off, but it stays on there also. Put your, we can put this in right now, or we can put it, you can put this planet in later also if you want to, after you put the ring gear in, but I put it all together. Put that on there, and then we're gonna switch camera angles. We're gonna start stuffing this in the case. In the back, we have this race that's going to go after this goes through. It's going to sit right here about. Then our yoke or our flange is going to go in. There is a seal here. Lip faces down. 12-point inch and 5/16. You can put a little Loctite on this if you want. You can also stake it in place. And these two little notches, I believe it is 58 foot-pounds. I'll have to re-look that up. Put our planet in. Put our shim in. Flange. Our nut. I'll tighten this down later. Just going to get it to a certain point. Everything won't fall out. Okay. Hopefully we're getting a good view. Hopefully the camera will not be in the way. So we have our lugs that we need to put them in about the center, tap them all the way down both sides. Make sure your feed port's pointing at 6 o'clock. And see if we can get down in here without hitting the camera. It's going to be kind of right in the way. There we go. Now, just wanting to be a pain. I may have to move the camera get this in there and then come back. You definitely don't want to stick your face over this in case this comes flying back out of there. There we go. Almost. All right. Make sure it's all the way back. Make sure your race is on there, your bearings on here. Drop your drum in. Sounds down. Drum assembly. There we go. Move this up. Lube up the O-ring on your pump. Make sure your shim is on there, your sealing rings. Just give it a little wiggle. Should spline in. Some kits will come with new bolts. They all will come with new washers. Make sure you get those on there. .27 Torx on this, 133 inch-pounds, I believe it was. No, I'm sorry, that was the other. This is 89 inch-pounds out here. Alright, we got a problem, Houston. Something's not lined up. Let me get this straightened out and then we'll be back at this point. Alright, at this point, you can make sure everything turns, check your end play, and then go ahead and torque your bolts all the way down. Make sure your lockup O-ring's on there. Lube it up. Here, where's my hole? It's just a little lopsided, but we can still see what we need to see. You got your dam. You want the long side down. Always replace this. You have 4 seals here. Long one goes here, and then it gets shorter as you get over. This is the medium one and the 2 short ones. You want to lube those up, and you're going to want to put this in that slot. You want your valve body. This little part of your manual valve has to line up in there. All the valve body bolts are the same except for the ones down in the bottom. They're short. Tighten these up down here last. They're all 40 Torx. All right, 71 inch-pounds. The camera's right in the way. Alright, some kits you get a new pass-through connector with the O-rings on it. If you don't, you just get the O-rings. There's two O-rings here, and then there's a flat looking O-ring here. Lube that up. There's a locating tab. Find that and locate that in there. Shove it all the way in. Then your lock will lock down. O-ring on your pan. You do get a new rubber gasket, but you're probably never going to reuse it. I always change the filter out no matter what, so it gets a new pan and it comes with it. Make sure that it gets down in that hole. All right. .40 Torx on the pan. I think we're getting a good view, but not sure. This is your drain, 8mm. Your fill plugs on the side, 8mm. There's a pressure port just above the cooler lines over here. And then the other one in the back is for your park pawl pivot pin. In order to get that out, no need to take any of that out. I will say, and I did forget to show it, will be on the Patreon side. If you do take the linkage apart, you don't really need to take the linkage out to change your lever seal. I just use a, where's my pocket screwdriver? Well, I don't know what I did with it. I just use a pocket screwdriver and I get in there and pop it out. Then I lube it up, put it in, and use the socket to tap it in. But if you do want to take your linkage all the way out, on the detent, that little roller sometimes will fall out, so be careful that you don't lose that. All right, 97 inch-pounds on the pan. Kind of, there is a pattern to it. Just crisscross it and work your way in. Okay, I believe that's it for this one. If I think of anything else, I will come back, but I'm pretty sure that's it for this one. We'll catch you on the next one.